Welcome to Get Me Down Under TV. Now, if you're looking to relocate to Australia or New Zealand, you've certainly come to the right place. And in terms of advice about property, about jobs and the relocation, we're aiming to bring you everything on this channel to give you all the informed information that you need to get that move down under. Now, I'm joined by Nick Foden-Ellis of Air Pets. It's great to have you here in the studio. Nice to have your company. Now, in terms of your company, tell us about Air Pets and what pets can be taken away.
Well, essentially, we export animals all over the world and virtually any animal that you care to mention. But for guys going down under, the restrictions are far tighter. So for Australia and New Zealand, essentially you're looking at dogs and cats only. They've got more than enough exotic animals down there. They don't need any more.
Okay, so for New Zealand, just dogs and cats?
Yeah.
Okay. And also, are there any particular makes of dogs? I say makes.
Breeds.
Breeds,
yeah.
Breeds that you can't or can take? Or?
Effectively, you can take any breed. There are certain restrictions. For example, the airlines, most airlines now won't fly any of the snub-nosed breeds, so your bulldogs, that type.
Why is that?
You know, nobody understands it, but those animals do have more problems than other breeds. So you can still get there. Air Canada, for example, still fly them, and they fly into Sydney, so you can still take those breeds with you.
Okay, so it is possible.
It is. Certain fighting breeds, shall we say, have certain restrictions as well. And obviously that depends where you're coming from, but UK have very specific restrictions on fighting breeds.
Now, obviously, people want to take their pets with them. Do you think it's fair on pets to come out?
Absolutely.
And go all that way?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? I lived in Australia for a year. I've got an Australian cattle dog. I've been through this system. Why wouldn't you take? They're a valued member of the family, and it's probably more traumatic for the human element of the family than it is for the animal. If you think that the animal's going to travel in the hold, it's nice and warm because it's on the same recirculation system as the passenger cabin, but it's dimmed down there, it's nice and dark, it's nice and warm. They've got more legroom than you're going to have upstairs. They're lying in a nice bed. Why wouldn't you take them? So
ultimately, it's really comfortable. It's a good environment for them. Because I know a lot of people would think, okay, it's quite scary having them in a hold where the owner doesn't see them or know what's going on with them.
Yeah, and again, more scary for the owner, I think, than dogs, for example, like dens. So they're more than happy in a box. Lots of people say, "Oh, my dog's never been in a box. Will it be a problem?" No, it's his natural instinct is to get into a box and have a little den. What we do as well is we tend to get all the animals in the day before. Then we can control what they eat. We can control any medication if they're on any medication. We've got a 5-acre site right next to Heathrow Airport.
Oh, that's handy.
Absolutely fantastic. Second to none of the facilities. I've got over an acre that is securely wired in. So we take the dogs, for example. They get taken out. They get run ragged in the paddock for however long it takes to tire them out. So they're nicely exercised. They're tired anyway. We make the boxes as well, and we treat the wood with a sort of homeopathic pheromone, so it's like a relaxant, if you like. So they've been exercised, they've not eaten, They've got this relaxing atmosphere around them, and they get into a nice, warm, dark hold. They sleep from here to Singapore.
This sounds, do you know what? This sounds incredible in terms of making it happen, because, for someone who hasn't made the move, me personally, this sounds incredible and very, very easy. And it's a caring environment from what you're telling me. Because you kind of think it's going to be very sterile, but it sounds amazing.
It is. It's great. And as a business, we ship probably just over 2,000 animals a year to Australia alone. So it's an everyday occurrence for us. So obviously we're far more used to it than our clients maybe, but it's not traumatic at all for the animals. The pilot has to sign that he's got live animals on board his aircraft, so he has to go down and do a visual check, checks that they've got water, checks that they're safe and secure. And if you're stopping over, say for example in Singapore, Hong Kong, or wherever you're sort of transiting through, new crew come on board, new pilot has to do exactly the same again. So they are checked, although there's nobody in the hold with them during the flight. They're checked. Whenever that aircraft's on the ground, they're checked. So they're perfectly fine.
And the pets themselves, if they're on medication, you can deal with that?
Absolutely. It depends on, we ship an awful lot of diabetic animals, for example, and the only consideration there is that they can't have insulin on the day that they fly. So if we've got them in beforehand, we can control when the insulin is given, so that we give it as late as possible the day before, so that they've still got insulin in the system to make sure that they're okay during the flight. And obviously it's all labelled up that they're on medication and what the requirements are.
Okay, and in terms of the size of the kennels, how big are they?
Varies, obviously,
Okay,
with the size of the dog,
yeah.
and the price all relates to the size of the box. It's based on the volume of the box. The regulations stipulate that your animal has to be able to stand up,
Yeah.
sit down, because the dog's head gets higher when it sits down, turn around and lie down unhindered. So we can build a box specifically to fit your dog. You know, if you've got a long sausage dog, for example, you don't want a really high box because you're paying for fresh air.
Yeah.
And the airlines will charge you for that fresh air.
Okay, yes.
So we can build a nice long low box. So you're only paying for what your animal needs. We always err on the side of comfort and security for the animal. I will never penny pinch. I'm not interested in being the cheapest in the market.
It's quality, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's
quality
quality
and
service, one standard, gold standard for every customer and every pet. And it's the pet's welfare that is absolutely central to what we do.
It's imperative. So how long have you been in the industry then?
As a company, we've been going for 46 years.
Yeah.
UK's oldest pet relocation company. Started off as a farm. I think we were there actually before Heathrow Airport was. And eventually somebody asked the owner if they could look after a dog in the farm. Did that. Then we started boarding kennels. Then as animals started to arrive into Heathrow, we started doing quarantine. And it was a very small step then for somebody to say, well, can you put my dog on a plane? And the first one was shipped 46 years ago.
Wow. And talking of quarantine, what happens when they actually arrive and how long are they in quarantine for?
Right, in Australia currently, it's 30 days.
Okay.
New Zealand is 10 days. And the restrictions over there got tighter on the 1st of January this year because we made our restrictions coming into the UK a little bit easier. So
Okay.
we came in line with the EU.
Yeah.
So it's now easier to get animals into the UK. So our guaranteed rabies-free status was lowered.
Yeah.
The Aussies and the Kiwis looked at that and said, right, now more risk. They introduced, well, there was quarantine in Australia anyway, but they sort of made it a little bit tighter. So it's 30 days in Australia, but they're talking about bringing it down in line with New Zealand to 10 days, but they haven't given us a time frame on that. At the moment in Australia, they're off only 3 quarantine stations, and they're all government run. So you've got one in Perth, one in Melbourne, and one in Sydney.
Yeah.
And now in the future, they've said that they are going to centralise it all into Melbourne. So there'll be a huge 144-acre site in Melbourne. However, it's a continental-sized island, and if you're going to Darwin, or Brisbane or Perth, you've got a 5-hour flight
Yeah.
to get your animal. So, and the only airline that flies direct into Melbourne, of course, is Qantas. So all the airlines are up in arms about this.
Right.
Customers are up in arms. All the pet shippers are. So we've got a meeting with them at the 2012 International Pet Association conference in Madrid, which is at the end of October. We've got a meeting there to discuss all of these changes and when they're going to come into place. But all the new details are on my website, and I put a news feature on there when anything changes.
Oh, excellent. So your website is, just remind us your websites.
It's www.airpet.com.
Excellent.
Airpets.com.
Airpets.com. So we can come to you for all that information.
Yeah.
And it's great to hear how easy it is, actually.
It's incredibly easy, and we can do everything, or we can just do a part. It's down to the customer. If they want us to do all the veterinary work, we can. If they don't have the time to wait, because it's a 6-month preparation before you go. Okay. So it's a rabies vaccination, wait for a month, have a blood test, and then from the date of the successful blood test, it's a further 150 days before that animal can enter.
Wow.
So 5 months, so it's 6 months in total to prepare.
Gosh.
If you don't have time to do that, if it's a short notice company relocation, we can board the animal. I've got animals with me that have been with us for just over 6 months that are going next week.
Right.
So we can do all of that. We can collect from your door. I've got a partner agent in Australia that can arrange the quarantine, that can collect it from quarantine and deliver it to Brisbane if you want it. So we can do absolutely everything, or we could just arrange the flight. Up to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
My
That was
pleasure.
brilliant information. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.